afternoon, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. It is so good to have you with us for today's show. And my name is Amy, and I will be with you for the show today. What a wonderful way to start here, Swana and Hyena Pan, with an elephant that is having the best time at this watering hole. Now, of course, remember everyone that show is live and interactive, and you can send through your comments and questions to me. I would hear from you. You can do wherever you are watching, whether it's on the Wild Earth app or on the YouTube chat stream. Just remember to use that at FC. You can also contact us through the website or to us on X using the hashtag Wild Earth. Oh my goodness, this elephant is going to get all four legs inside there and sit down. It reminds me of when you have a dog and it grows, still tries to sit on its very small little puppy pillow. Mercedes, lovely to hear from you. You say greetings to me, the Wildo, and all the chatters, and happy Thursday indeed. A happy Thursday it is. It's actually been a while since I've done the Waterhole show. The last time I filled in was doing the show from Mabula. Few now. And this elephant's now getting the itches in. I think it is a he. It could be a she. Male, I think. Can be a bit tell that forehead's very square, but the genitals look like it could be male. But at the females also have Well, hello once again, everyone. I do hope that we have been able to sort out some of the gremlins that seem to be with us today. Looks like all the elephants are trying to cool down here. Oh my goodness. I would love to see one walk in with all four legs, though. That would be really entertaining. Let's go see what's happening at Tau. Here we have another Ellie. A big boy that's come down. I'm sure he's going to try and get some of this green grass. But how lovely to see some green leaves on the trees here. That is a wonderful surprise. Otherwise, it's actually quite quiet here, which is unusual. Normally, you see some other animals, even if they're just walking past in the background, but it may come. But it's always just a wonderful time to spend watching this elephant. And a elephant, especially when they come across into the muddy water like this and feast on this green grass. Daniel, hello, thanks for saying hi. And yeah, I'm also hoping for some awesome sightings. Even if there are some awesome bird sightings in between, that would be very cool. We had a sighting, there was a sighting that Africam reported on Tuesday. We had at the Hyena Pan of the juvenile European honey buzzard, which was insane. I didn't recognize it at first. I thought it was maybe a lesser spotted eagle with a light eye. It's just not a bird I've seen once in my life in northern KwaZulu-Natal and never again, and especially not a juvenile. So that was a fantastic one. So who knows what birds we might pop out. For now, we've got some common moorhens. I know they're black crakes around here as well. And in summer, there's just so many possibilities. Well, let's see what's happening at Djuma. Ah, a giraffe. I always love seeing a giraffe. It looks like it's actually quite close to the camera here as well. There's an oxpecker on its back, well, its neck. Oh, there's actually two oxpeckers, and the one on the right there actually had its beak open for a short time. And we'll see birds doing that to try and cool down. Their tongue, of course, being in the mouth, but a lot of blood vessels quite close to the surface there, and that helps them to cool down. They have limited options available. And one of the things you see in very hot weather is birds of all sizes really sitting with their mouth open. Oh, Daniel, you say you have the Masai Mara on your bucket list to see. You want to know what's Mara is definitely on there. Of the iconic places of Africa, I would say, is absolutely on there. I think one place maybe outside of Africa would be South America to go for the birding, in parts of the Amazon, in Peru and Costa Rica, those countries where you just have these birds of paradise that are absolutely quite remarkable. So I'd love to do a birding trip there one day. I have quite a happy story to tell about Djuma. I was here on Tuesday morning. I did my last drive before I left, and from the day before, oh, that looks like potentially a starling that went into that hole. And before I continue my story, I remember we did have starlings nesting last year. Was it rollers? Possibly both, in this hollowed out tree trunk. Anyway, so when I finished my game drive on Tuesday morning here at Djuma, there was a black cuckoo calling. And for those of you may or may not know, but the one bird that I still really wanted to see was a black cuckoo. I've heard calling, but have never been able to actually see it myself. And I have my own rule when it comes to my bird list, that I have to see the bird to tick it off on my list the first time. After that, I can confidently recognize its call, then that's fine, but I need to see it. So anyway, I had not seen a black cuckoo, and when I finished drive on Tuesday morning, I heard this bird calling not too far from camp, and I said, no, I have to go and find it. So I took my binos and I went for a little walk, and eventually I heard it calling right. It must have been right in the tree above me, but I still couldn't see it. And eventually I just waited it out, and it flew out over me and landed in the next tree. So I got to tick off black cuckoo on Tuesday, which I was very, very happy about. So I think those birch starlings are nesting in that tree hollow again, and we'll see lots of action coming in with them in and out to obviously line the nest, but then also once the chicks have hatched, back and forth with food. Yeah, it does look like birch starlings. And we've actually been seeing quite a lot of giraffes around. There was sort of this group of about 10 or 11, mostly males with a few females dotted around. But I don't know if this particular male is part of any group. He looks like he's on his own at the moment, and does have somewhat of an injured ossicone. That's the horns on top of the head there. The one seems to be a little bit bent out of shape. And I recently watched a video actually of male giraffes necking, their version, or how they fight when they are competing for dominance to earn the right to mate with females. And we think of giraffes as very placid, almost docile animals. They are so serene, and they give a lot of, peaceful vibes in the bush for the most part. And you don't really think that they can actually be quite violent, specifically the males. And I was just a video popped up the other day of two males. I'm not sure exactly where it was, somewhere in Africa. And one of the most intense male giraffe fights I'd ever seen. And it's interesting because you hear the reports of these males fighting, and I have seen them neck before, but not to the point of death or to the point of, a very serious injury. But in this case, you could see how much power is behind those knocks, behind their ossicones. I mean, you can imagine that whole sort of weight of the neck and the head being thrown against the other male's body. terrapins. I know there are quite a few that live in this little pan here. Some of the dam cam footage shows in the night time, actually, they were all sort of there with their heads up. That was fascinating. But they love to come in and out of the water. And now that there's so much water around in the Sabi Sands, particularly on Juma, we see them crossing the road. I had one the other day just toodling across off from one pool to the next. You may not think it, but terrapins are, well, insectivorous for the most part, but classified under sort of meat eating, in that they feed on lots of insects and parasites and can even feed on carcasses in the water. I'm also just loving the greenery. I mean, it's starting a little bit at Tau, but here in the Sabi Sands, it's just so green. Tembe's also turning beautiful and green. And how much thicker is the bush? I mean, we used to be able to see all the way in there, and now we very much got more leaves in our way. All right, well, wonderful to pop in here at Juma. Who knows, we may be back. Let's head back over to Tau. Well, Ellie Bull is still here, and I think he's having a great time. I mean, you are cooling down and eating at the same time. It's the way I feel when I'm eating watermelon and having a swim in the summer. For us in South Africa, or at least in the southern hemisphere, summer is all about the sunshine, the beach, and lots of family time around the swimming pools. Sanjeev, I love it. You say the gardener of the African wild is taking his job very seriously. I mean, he is, and he's keeping this grass in check. That is for sure. So, some of you have sent through the destinations that you'd like to visit. It seems like for most people, they have mentioned places in Africa, which is great. But if you'd like to share anywhere that you would still like to visit nature-wise across the world, I'd love to know, because there's always new places for all of us who love the natural world and places of interest that one can learn about and possibly plan to visit in the future. So, Daniel, you say the Serengeti and Stony Point. You'd love to visit your family that you have in South Africa. Well, it's a wonderful thing to be able to combine two things, or kill two birds with one stone, as the saying goes. So I hope you get around to being able to plan a trip to Africa, and perhaps even more specifically South Africa. Go visit some of the little penguins as well. I know that's everyone's favorite. Jan Mello, you say Stony Point as well. It is a beautiful spot there. That whole sort of Cape Peninsula, there's so many different attractions, a whole different world along the South African coast, from the west to the east. And those beautiful African penguins are definitely a cute spectacle that you don't want to miss. Sanjeev, you say that your favorite destination is Mana Pools National Park in Zimbabwe. Absolutely. I would love to visit there. It's definitely on my near future plans, potentially for next year, to be able to drive up there. It's not actually that far. Well, depending how you go, or if you fly, and there's different options. But that area, I believe that is where all the anna trees are, and you sometimes see those elephants going up onto their hind legs to get the anna tree fruits. And I'd love to go camping there and witness the beauty of that area, somewhere so different, I think, from anywhere that we have in South Africa. This is such a tall fella. I think because the other bull that we've been looking at has sort of been in the mud, we haven't gotten the length of those legs. And here we can just see how tall they stand. Oh, Mercedes, you say nature-wise you'd still like to see Yosemite and Yellowstone. That is also actually, there's actually so many places in Northern America that I think, there's some amazing natural wonders in the States as well. I'd love to see the Californian redwood trees. I think that must be incredible. Of course, the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone. It's one of these things that you sort of, growing up, we learn a lot about in school, and history and different things, natural wonders of the world. And I'd love to visit things like that one day. And then I think I'd also really love to see a wild tiger. Authentic, true experience. Of course, most of that being able to take place in India. So that would definitely be on my bucket list for sure. We live in such a remarkable world, and our planet is so full of so many natural wonders. How spoilt are we to have so many places that we can go to and see, and potentially some of them closer to some of us than others. But sometimes it's all about just, even if it's your garden at home or a park that's nearby, if you don't have a garden for yourself, just to admire nature, the birds, the plants, the flowers. And it's close to us one way or another. I'm just so happy to see some green at Tau. It has been so grey and dry here, and to see a little bit of green grass, a little bit of green leaves coming through. I don't know how much it's rained, if we've seen that at all on the waterhole show over the last 2 weeks, but I'm sure there must have been at least some rain. It also seems like there's a little bit more water in the waterhole itself. And it's one of those things that unless you've seen it before, you cannot believe that this place can transform into what seems to be a paradise for the animals. Although it is brief, it does happen. Oh, this Ellie is just loving life, isn't he? All right, well, let's leave this elephant and head over to Safari Hook. Oh, beautiful. A gemsbok and some springbuck here. And that gemsbok is licking what I think to be, I think it's a salt lick. And these are placed out to compensate for something like sodium, for example, potentially magnesium as well, that they lick there. And just to add to their diet that they may lack through the year. And many animals will use that to help get the sodium levels that they need. Wow, I don't think I've seen this waterhole so busy before. Definitely, I think with the increasing heat and potentially just the movement of the herds of springbuck, that they've come into this area now. And isn't the gemsbok just one of the most beautiful antelopes that we see in southern Africa? It is really impressive. And its facial markings, the coloration, it's just this iconic species for the arid areas of southern Africa, particularly the Kalahari. It's using its horn to scratch its back. Those are very long. I think I read that their horns are, it's definitely about 1 meter, I think, in length. That is very impressive. And this is a great example of male and female. So have a look at that. So on the left is a male, very thick horns, and then on the right, much thinner in a female. Now, when it comes to springbuck, they can actually breed throughout the year, but generally they also have their little ones now in the beginning of the wet season. So who knows, we may see 1 or 2 springbuck babies around. Not quite as strict as impalas. All of a sudden the lambs are popping out everywhere, so that will be interesting to see if anything does appear. I do see some of these females' bellies though are looking quite round, or maybe it's just me. They are such pretty antelopes, such beautiful colors. Our national animal, the springbuck, or not animal, sorry, mammal, I suppose, because a bird is also an animal. But a wonderful little antelope that occurs sort of more towards the central, western, and then northern parts of South Africa. Well, I do believe that there are some vultures. I think that may have been at Vic Falls, but if we are able to, maybe let's head over there. Ah, there we go. So here at Vic Falls, there is vulture feeding basically that happens at 1 o'clock every day. So this is why they all are together in one spot. Oh, sorry everyone, we lost the feed there, but we've come over to Djuma. And that giraffe we were looking at earlier looks to be making his way away from us now. Looks like he's found a lovely shady spot to relax. I believe it is quite warm in the Lowveld today. I have travelled down to the Eastern Cape of South Africa, so I'm enjoying some lovely coastal breeze today in comparison to the heat that one gets used to in the Lowveld. And I think everything is just trying to seek out some shade at the moment, as I would be too. And it will be interesting to see, although his body's in the shade, the head is definitely still in the sun. I guess you can have it both ways, you know, finding the perfect balance there between the two. shade and sun. I don't know if he's actually eating there. Perhaps he is finding a few leaves, but otherwise he may just be ruminating. I've been listening as well to see if I can hear that black cuckoo calling at Juma. It's not too far actually. The dam cam is right next to the Lodge Now camp where I saw it. So it was calling a few times, and I know it's been heard on the dam cam in the last few days. And what's interesting with the black cuckoo is that, well, all cuckoos are brood parasites, so there will be specific hosts or multiple hosts that they will use to lay their egg in, that then gets raised by another species of bird. And for the black cuckoo, their host is in this area. The southern boo-boo is the one species of boo-boo that we get here, and so they will be looking for southern boo-boo nests to lay their eggs in. Okay, well, we're going to head back up to Botswana and see some ellies at Hyena Pan. Oh, wow. I know we were here earlier, but the trees are so green. We weren't looking at them. And we had just started to see the green mapani leaves coming through. But now it is just flourishing, isn't it? How pretty is this? And I think the herd now, you can see how each one or two of them are directly next to a tree, and that's because of the shade. That's why they are positioned the way they are. Each tree provides its own little circle of shade, and mapanis aren't the best shade tree. They're quite tall, and their canopies aren't very big, so they really, in the winter when they don't have leaves, they hardly provide shade at all. But as their leaves grow out, they develop a little bit more of a thicker shade to them, but really only in the immediate vicinity of the tree. There's a big bull that's coming to drink now. Two of them, it looks like. So, animal lover, that is to do with what I was just explaining now with them looking for shade and the fact that they're just taking a rest. So, part of their sort of, I suppose, cycle for their days is they'll come to the waterhole. They can do it anywhere really, but it often is close to water that they do choose to rest, and that is what they're doing. So you can see that none of them are feeding, none of them are dust bathing or drinking. They're all just standing, and there might be a tail swoosh every now and again, maybe a flap of the ear, but actually they're shutting down their brain slightly just to rest and take a second. I like to do that too. Sometimes I just lie on a couch. I don't sleep, but I just, take a minute to re-energize. And especially with being such huge animals, they get very hot as well, which is why they come to cool down. We can see these two boys have definitely had their fair share of splashing of mud. And for herds, it's also important to give the little ones a chance to regain their energy. Ethel, so the broken tusks that we see on these bulls, not now anymore, I don't think, unless there was an infection, but we would see some serious swelling if that were the case, and an avoidance of use. So we can see that these boys are still using their tusk. That one in the middle has actually some bark stuck on his. When the tusk breaks itself, depending how is, it can definitely hurt. The closer, of course, to the jaw where that root is of the tusk, because after all, the tusks are part of the dental structure of an elephant. So just like our teeth, a sort of chip near the edge isn't actually sore. It's uncomfortable and it gives you a bit of a shock, but it's not painful. However, if you break off your tooth right up near your jaw, near the nerve ending, that is a completely different story. Okay, well, let's head over to King's. Fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Testing, testing. Do you copy me? Hello, hello. Well, I have been thoroughly entertained by these terrapins. Wow. That is so cool to see that little one that was on top of the other one's back. What I really want to know is how it got there, because that is a very interesting position. And doing its leg stretches and movements. I think this one might disappear soon. As soon as they start moving a little bit more, then you know that they're trying to get themselves back into the water. They've dried out enough. But interesting to see those feet and how they work. Sort of a combination of flipper-like or webbing in the toes, but then also claws themselves. So Charlotte, that's a great question. I don't know specifically why it would lie on top of the other one like that. I mean, terrapins are odd animals, I must say. They are rather strange, and they also have these little beady eyes which just seem to like stare right into your soul when you look at them. But you know, these terrapins love to sun themselves. They are the ultimate sunbathers, other than crocodiles, but most reptiles are, you know, with needing the sunshine to give them energy and warm up their bodies. I don't know if it was already on top of the other one. I don't think so, though. You know, it sort of crawled out and the other one was on the back hitching a ride. I think that would rather be difficult to keep sort of steady if the other one had to climb up the log here. But I don't have a specific answer for you, Charlotte, other than that was very cute and very entertaining to watch. And did you see its little tail of the big one that came out even there for a moment? I do find it incredible how maneuverable they are. I mean, I thought it would have easily slipped down off that log quite quickly, but it's actually managed to turn around and move itself all the way over without slipping off. George, you'd like to know the difference between a terrapin and a turtle. I think that's what you are referring to. So although they belong to the same family within the reptile group, they are completely different from one another. They do have the exoskeleton in the form of a shell, and so they do have certain characteristics that are the same. But turtles are exclusively found in salt water. So that is one of the main features that separate terrapins from turtles. So terrapins we find on land and in fresh water. You won't find, and I'm referring to the species that we see here in South Africa or Southern Africa. Terrapins are, if you want to describe it very simply and not scientifically accurately, freshwater turtles. But they're not turtles at all. They don't have flippers. You can see this in the one that we're looking at right now. They have claws on the front of their feet. The back feet and the front actually have webbing that helps them sort of like function like flippers in the water, just like other ducks and geese and water birds that need webbed feet to help them move through the water more easily. And then yes, there are a few other differences as well, but for the most part it is the fact that terrapins are found in freshwater. They can walk on land, and then turtles have flippers and they are found in the sea. Okay, well, seems like quite a few people love Stony Point from our chat earlier, so let's head over there and see some dussies. Oh, they are very cute, aren't they? We know that there are a group of these rock hyraxes that live here, and in South Africa we refer to them as dussies. They sort of little bear-like, rat-like, very furry creatures that are very cute, and they love to warm up in the sun and also on the rocks where it's nice and warm. It does look a little bit chilly in the Cape. I don't know the exact temperature, but looks overcast at least. Daisy, they are very cute, aren't they? They are adorable, and I think they steal a lot of people's hearts. Oh my goodness, look at the weather. It looks so misty, potentially rainy. I can't believe it when we think of how warm it is in the Lowveld and many of the other locations we've been at. Looks like there's some cormorants out there. Oh, there's another dussie. This was also the site that Egyptian goose had its chicks, well, had the eggs. So animal lover, it's an interesting question if you want to know if they always have to be on the lookout for predators. So I suppose in a way, yes, they do. They are small, not quite an easy prey option for anything from small cats to bigger cats to birds of prey. Out here on the coast though, that is a little bit more limited in terms of having to worry about oh, that is a little one. Looks like a having to worry about being preyed upon. But definitely birds of prey are a risk for these animals, and I think it's in their nature. So any sort of non-predatory species has this sort of natural awareness about them, that they make sure that they're always on the lookout for any potential danger. Richard, you'd like to know when their mating period is. So it's actually now, I believe, is their mating, between November, December time. And their gestation is around 3 months or so. So we generally see the baby dussies around February, March. We'll see a lot more little ones. Can't wait for that. That'll be adorable. Birds have tucked themselves away in this cool weather here today. It is making itself quite cozy there. There look to be some cormorants as well up sitting there somewhere. Oh, there we go. White-breasted cormorant. Such a big bird, actually. Oh, Joanne, I know you love Stony Point. I'm so happy we could visit it today for you. And I know it is normally quite green here around the coast anyway, but it's lovely to see the green colours all around. And these dussies feed on plant material for the most part. Anything that they can really find, depending on whether it's dry or wet season. They do look like they can keep themselves very warm though. The way they sort of hunker down, they've got this thick brown fur. And within these groups of dassies, you'll have a dominant male with his females, basically, that live in groups, and their offspring. And that sort of is a social structure that's quite repeated throughout nature in different animal species, but specifically for the rock hyrax, that's how they are structured. And males will compete. I mean, and not that I've ever seen dassies fighting, but I'm sure they can do so. Alright, well, we've come back over to Juma. And I can hear the doves are calling. Emerald spotted wood dove, Cape turtle dove. It's nice to see a little bit of water back in the dam here. But the rains must come again so that it can fill up nicely. That tree is still busy with the starlings back and forth there. Is that? Oh yeah, no, it is. I thought there was a hornbill as well, but it's not. I think it's just the shadow. And there are quite a few sort of cavity nesting birds that are doing their breeding at this time of year. The starlings, pretty much from birchels to greater blue-eared to violet-backed starlings as well. And then things like some of the woodpeckers, kingfishers, barbets. So many are lilac-breasted rollers, another one, or rollers in general, but lilac-breasted specifically to this area is quite common. Some more terrapins. These are a lot more moist compared to the ones we saw at King's Camp, obviously recently come out of the water. Jan, that is so true. And of course, we all love the animals, but part of nature is also the landscapes and the views and the different sort of settings that we get for nature to unfold. And there's so much variety, especially with the Waterhole show. We're so lucky to be able to share that. Surprised we haven't seen any of the other sort of antelope, whether it's nyala, impala, wildebeest or zebra that had been hanging around here. Especially, I know that a dam cam's always a good spot to try and spot some impala babies. So we'll have to see if they make their appearance. But I think because it is just so warm, sort of heading to the very peak of heat of the day, many animals will be just resting in the shade. So there was a question by Animal Lover regarding when terrapins lay their eggs. So they are also summer breeders, and that will happen somewhere near water. They'll lay their eggs within sort of the vicinity of this waterhole or the pan, and that happens anytime from now, already from October till January, and they can lay anywhere apparently between sort of 7 to 25 eggs, so it just depends on that particular female and how many eggs she lays for that season. Okay, let's head back over to Stony Point. Oh, so cute. My goodness. There's a little penguin. We definitely do see penguins here, but we don't see them all the time. And so it is wonderful to have one just sitting here. It looks very cold, I must say. Looks like it's quite chilly. Almost looks as though their flippers are just too small for their bodies, doesn't it? They look very small in comparison. I suppose that is why they can't fly. So Jojo, I think it's all about just what the term we refer to is habituation. And just that where these penguins have been, sort of humans have been around, whether it is the sort of little establishments of the small seaside towns that have been developed along the coast, or just the presence of humans over many, many years, whether it's just small populations and then moving into slowly growing bigger and bigger along the way. And of course the habituation, knowing that they're not, that these humans or these things that are moving around, this other presence body, is not harming them in any way, and they can continue to do their thing in the sea and on the rocks, and the sand and on the beach. And the African penguin has now been listed as critically endangered, I believe. So there's a lot of work to preserve the population and to make sure that they are protected and looked after, and most importantly the habitat that they need is protected. But in terms of getting used to humans, yes, I mean, I think they are, you can see the boardwalk there for people to use and walk by. They are completely comfortable with that, and that's just because over a long period of time they've gotten used to the humans walking past and the noises and the smells associated with that. So Forest Green, you'd like to know if penguins have very sharp teeth for the fish that they eat? No, they don't. With penguins being part of the aves or birds, they don't have teeth, but they do have a very sharp beak, and that is to help them with actually catching the fish, which they would then swallow whole. So even though it's difficult to imagine sometimes with these birds, but when they are eating, they actually swallow whole. Oh wow, there's the rest of the colony. Can't believe I didn't see that earlier, but there they are, a group of penguins all hanging out. This one closest to us, I'm not sure what's going on with it. While it just maybe needed a break, some quiet time away from the rest. Got its own thing going on. But yes, they don't have teeth. They do have a sharp beak, but they use that, like I said, to catch the prey and then actually just chomp down the fish whole. It's actually their stomachs which work to chew, inverted commas, up the fish. So it'll go into, generally birds have a 2-chambered stomach, with sort of one that has all the digestive juices in, the first one, which sort of softens everything up, and then the second, which actually grinds down whatever they've eaten. In this case, for the penguin, it would be fish. That's called the gizzard. Rosie Adams, that is a great question. And I believe the answer to that is yes, they do. I mean, I don't see any other way. The way that I understand penguins feeding, and the way they feed quite quickly in the water as they chase down fish and simply grab them. They have very spiny sort of inside of their mouths that helps hook down a squirming fish, and then they just swallow it. So I assume that fish is somewhat alive when it does go down. But of course, then once it's lack of oxygen out the water, and of course the digestive juices, that fish will then die quite quickly, I assume. But it is an interesting thing to think about, and something that I'll have to check exactly the details of that mechanism. But there's, it's not like other herons or storks or even kingfishers that would go and then slap the fish around a little bit to really soften it up. And then swallow it, which you then assume the fish is dead by then, or the prey, whatever they've eaten. But with these penguins, their style of hunting and eating is so quick that there's not really time to kill it first before they swallow it. Thanks, Jan. It was one that was very surprising, I must say. I didn't expect so much penguin action. It was wonderful to spend some time with these little birds, and not something that I've had at Stony Point that often. So very, very cool indeed. Lots of elephants as well, and it has been a wonderful show so far. As Dussie's ready for its close-up. Mindy, yes. So essentially, that is what happens. The fish that is swallowed whole technically dies from suffocation or lack of oxygen. Oh, that was a little yawn from the Stussy. And apparently, and I've just been reading up now on it because I also wanted to know the details, it takes about 15 to 25 minutes for that process to happen completely. So it will be somewhat alive still within the bird until it dies from suffocation, as you said, or lack of oxygen. And then obviously when it's in that first chamber of the stomach, there's digestive acid and things like that will break it down from the outside in. Oh no, that is too cute. How sweet is that? It's on top of 2 of them. That is just the cutest thing. Goodness gracious me. So, yes, just to finish that thought, Mindy, that is fascinating to think about. But essentially, yes, the fish that are swallowed live do eventually die of lack of oxygen after about 15 to 25 minutes. John, you're right. Their little teeth are very cute. They've also got 2 sort of like tusks, like canines that stick out every now and again that we can see. And they do look a little bit evil. I know what you're saying. But what a cute way to end off the Waterhole show today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been fantastic. Very unique show today, I must say. I've enjoyed it a lot. And now I just want to cuddle up with these dussies and get nice and cozy. Of course, depending on what weather you're experiencing, that may either be a very tempting or ridiculous idea. Well, everyone, Live at the Waterhole will be back again tomorrow, so make sure that you join us again at the same time, same place. Later on this afternoon, though, there will be your live safari coming up at 4 p.m. Central African time, so make sure that you stay tuned right here to Wild Earth for that. And I will be back with you tomorrow for another show before the weekend. So I'm looking forward to it and what else will show up at the Waterhole. But to everyone who's joined me here today, thank you so much for all your comments and questions. As always, we really do appreciate it. And hopefully I'll chat to you all again tomorrow. Goodbye for now.